Zoom recording, and I will welcome you to the end of the year mega quiz. This is probably the most amount of questions slash slides that I've put into this, because at the beginning of 2021, I made a conscious effort to almost every week, and there were certain duplicate topic classes that I didn't do this with, and also certain topics that it didn't lend itself to, but I tried in as many times as possible in the notes to give you one full slide of kind of a summary of each of the classes. And I am happy to say that at the start of this quiz, and I'll actually put these in the back end of it after it's over, but these are all of those special slides that I use throughout the year. We're not going to go through these in a great amount of detail, but I'm just going to flash them up here and kind of show you some of the highlights of what we're doing. And this is what I really wanted to have for you guys, is just in each of the lessons you took, and they're all noted here for you. So if you see this and you want to dive deeper, that's where you'll find it in either your lessons, or if you haven't grabbed it, you can go ahead and purchase that as well, just via that date and in the quiz classes. But here you can see this is the overcalls page, right? So this is a nice little cheat sheet of 1-level overcalls and what they're going to mean, and then 2-level overcalls and so on and so forth. So here, cool little like 1-page slide for our overcalls from a class in November. And then this is what we just did last week, guys. This is the strong hands. My favorite slide of the session, the reverse and the jump shift, kind of what they look like in the native environment and what they're showing as far as the values that we have. As I go through these, I'm going to give you guys like about 10 or 15 seconds. I apologize if I went too quickly on the last one, but just to take a look. And if you have any questions at all, fire them away. But I'm just going to show you the highlights, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of our lesson today. But this one is great. This is just how the opening bidder is going to show their strongest hands, the reverse and the jump shift. All right. These are our raises after double. Now, this is almost the entire slide. I left the advanced stuff out because this is just what we need for doubles. And this is a time that I'm going to slow down just a second. Right. So I want to show you the actual differences and similarities between raises after the opponent's double. So Harry, send that link to your friend's email. That if you can do that, that would be great. I'm kind of in the middle of something there. So take a look, guys. The top weak single raise is basically the same as it will be almost always, unless you add a little bit of system. So 1 of a major double, raise to 2, exactly the same. Look right below it though, the strong 3-card raise. You guys see this? What does that include? Always, if we're playing just kind of standard stuff, a bid that we might not be super familiar with. All right, so whenever the opponent's double and we have a good hand, we're going to start with a redouble as a responder, and then we're going to go from there usually. So here, this is a strong 3-card raise structure. The redouble would happen first, and then we would come back and just be raising partner's suit afterwards. So this is a very useful lesson, and this is a cool page to just kind of go over the highlights of what we should be playing for the most part. All right, Smolin, a nice reminder for you guys. So this is, if you haven't played it yet, you can take a look at it here. If you have played it, a beautiful cheat sheet for you for when it is available, and it is available in all of these spots. Competitive raises, one of my favorite slides of the year, because this gives you most of your best bids when you're in a competitive environment. And how often are we in competitive environments, folks? A lot, right? In normal good duplicate bridge games, you're going to be in competitive auctions way more frequently than you're going to be able to just have your way with your auctions together as a team. So here, highlights of the raises here. Big 2/1 slide here. We won't spend too much time on this, but you'll get a lot out of this one as well. Ooh, Fred Weber has a question about Smolin. Let's go back. Can you play Smolin over 2-no trump? And if you want to, yes, and you should. There is the ability to play something called Puppet Stamen over 2-no trump. And if you agree to play that, you basically lose Smolin, right? And I am not willing to make that trade-off. So I am not a fan of playing Puppet Stamen over 2-no trump. Betty, yeah, I'm everyone's always invited. It's always here for you. Sorry if there was any confusion there. All right, take a look here. There's the 2/1. These are one no Trump forcing spots right here. Right, a little bit of review there. Here's our responding to double slide once again, and this is super important. I want you guys, if you remember or jog your memory in any way, make sure this is the one. When you are responding to partners double, all of these bids, even the bids at the 3 and the 4 level, start with a range of 0 points. Right. And that's because that double is absolutely forcing. So just remember that. A very good visual representation of all that. And more stuff to follow. I feel like I'm droning on about stuff that you can look at any time, but these are all of those slides that were throughout the year. And this was the first one. This was January 6th, the first class we had of the year. And this was that first kind of catch-all slide, 2/1, and other ways to gain force. So cool stuff right at the beginning of the notes right now. I'll probably put them in an appendix at the end, but make sure you take a look at these. And this wouldn't be the worst idea if you were going to print something out. This isn't the worst thing to print out because it's a nice little flip chart of kind of a bunch of different topics. So lots that you can get into. But right now we're going to play a new game. And it's going to be called Truths and Lies. What I am going to do is I am going to give you a hand, which you can see right above me here. And I'm going to give you some statements about this hand, right? The ones you can see here are right above me, labeled A, B, C, and D, right? So I want to show you the auction where East has started by opening one diamond. We overcalled one heart with our hand. Our left-hand opponent doubled, and our partner bid 2 hearts. So what I want you to tell me is which of these are true, right? And they have to be 100% true, right? They cannot be, hey, I think it's the case. Right now, you have to know for certain whether 1, 2, 3, or all of these are true. It could be any number, or it could be none of them are true. All right, so take a moment, look at this hand. Notice that right-hand opponent opened one diamond. We overcalled one heart. It went double, and our partner raised to 2 hearts, and it went all pass. So remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find out which of these, and it could be multiple ones, which of these statements are true. And they have to be absolutely true right now. And so 1 diamond on our right, 1 heart by us, double 2 hearts. Which of these statements above me is true? All right. I am going to be very happy to reveal the results in just a moment. I'm taking my time here, and that's because you guys are taking your time. So take a moment, and these are designed to be tricky. So if you want to go back and reconsider, you're more than welcome to. But I am ready to reveal the answer. And the answer is, it's just C is the true statement. Just C. So let's look at A first of all. A, West has 4 plus spades. That is not true because West actually has exactly 4 spades. They cannot have more. So it's a little tricky, not 100% true though. They cannot have more than 4 spades. So West has exactly 4 spades. They cannot have 4 plus spades. North has less than 10 points. This one got almost all of you. And that is because North can have less than 10 points. Because what is the range of the single raise? 1 heart, 2 hearts, or in this case, 1 diamond, 1 heart, double, 2 hearts. What's that range? It's not 6 to 9 anymore. It's not 6 plus either. It's not forcing, but it is 6 to a bad 10. Okay. It is 6 to a bad 10. And let's just, I'm going to jump over to this hand, and I'm going to show you this card here. So let's make our lead. Boom. Look at that north hand. How many points you see over there, guys? Count them quick. That's 10. Ace of spades, king of diamonds, queen of clubs, jack of hearts. That's what a 2-heart bid should look like at its maximum, right? You don't want to cube it with this hand. It's, or you could cube it. You could bid 2 diamonds. It's not good enough, right? It's flat, it's scattered values, it's 10. So when we raise, it's going to be 6 to 10. So this was a trick question. It's kind of playing at that initial beginner bridge. Hey, it's 6 to 9, right? So East has 4 plus diamonds. That, my friends, is what is right, and it has to be. Now, this is a little deep here. We do know that East and we ourselves should be playing that we can open 3 cards in the minor suit, right? In either minor. Usually it's going to be clubs that we're opening 3, but what is the circumstance that we're going to open with 3 diamonds only? And East is playing the same game we are, right? So when does East open? When they only have 3 diamonds? Only one time. Yeah, great, guys. So East is going to open 1 diamond with only 3 when they have specifically 4 hearts and 4 spades. What do we know they can't have when they pass 2 hearts? You cannot have something very specific because of what partner already showed. They, to our left, showed a 4 cards in the spade suit. So what would East do? Even with the 2 heart bid, they opened the bidding. What would East do if they had 4 spades and partner made a negative double? They would use the law of total tricks and they would bid 2 spades, right? So C is absolutely correct. They can have 4 plus diamonds. E, you would think, is usually correct. And that is the tricky part of this game we're playing. And we're going to see a few more of these. So don't worry, you guys will get better at this. East is usually going to have 12 or more points. However, there are going to be times where they open with only 11. And let's go back to our table and let's fill you in on one other hand here. Take a look. Count those points. And this is weird. What I will tell you is you don't have to open this hand. And I would say many of you, in fact, I probably would tend not to open this hand usually, especially in first seat vulnerable. So I would shy away from this. But what don't you have control of when you're the declarer or when you're bidding? The opponent's choices, right? So just recognize that when the opponents have made a bid, in this case, the bid of 1 diamond, an opening bid, their range is usually going to be starting at that 11 number, even though for practical purposes, we're thinking 12. But when we're playing this game, the only thing we can know for sure out of all 4 choices you were given is that C, East, has 4 plus diamonds. How we doing? Talk to me. This is a very cool game. I think this is my new kind of thing to try out because I want you guys thinking about everything, right? The biggest gift I ever received when I moved to New York was the ability to have conversations with the best players. And what I was so impressed with wasn't the answers they gave, it was the thoughts that they had, right? And this is kind of an avenue to getting you guys to think at least somewhat about that, about what's going on in the present environment. So let's see the next case here. And let me make sure I press the right button. Okay. So now that the 9 of diamonds is led, we're on the same hand. 4 more questions. A, West has less than 10 points. B, East has 5 plus diamonds now. C, hearts will break badly. And D, North-South will likely make 2 hearts. And yes, I did go to Cornell for graduate school. And you can tell I'm using that degree I didn't have a bridge master program, unfortunately. So recognize the only other piece of information we've been given here is the opening lead, folks. Right? So it's the same auction. What do we know? And I will also remind you that the process in all these situations when the opponents bid something is to add up the values you know about. Right. So you definitely are always, as declarer, you're always going to know your hand and the dummy. And as defender, you're going to know your hand and the dummy as well. And then take a look at who bid. figure out what values are around the table, and that will help you answer quite a bit of things. So a very large number have a certain answer that they're sticking to. So the way we're going to determine if A is true is probably the first thing we should have done, to be honest. And let's just test A first. So we would say I have 11 points. All right, there's 11 in my hand. There is 10 over here. All right, so 11 in my hand, 10 in my partner's hand. That's 21. Let's give this player 12, even though we kind of look, they could have 11, obviously, but let's give them their opening hand. 11, 21, 33. All right, so let's give them less. Let's give them only the 11. Let's say they open light. That's still 32. So West not only has less than 10 points, they're likely less than 8 points, right? So yeah, that's how we would test A. And that West is absolutely right. There is another truth on this one, though. And the other truth happens to be East has 5+ diamonds, right? And the reason we should understand that is the high-low lead, right? And I want you to think, I'm going to go back to this one so we can't see all the hands. I want you to think about what their potential choices would be with their diamond position, okay? So what would they lead from Jack 9? Right, what would left-hand opponent lead from Jack 9? Yeah. What would they lead from Queen 9? If they let it, which now they might not even lead it, but if they chose to lead it, it would be the queen for sure, right? What would they lead from 9, 8, 3? This might be a tricky one. So let's talk about this. There's some discussion in the chat as well. Sean, very good question. We're going to get to that. So let's talk about first off the way we lead versus suits. We lead low from 3 small versus suit contracts. We lead top of touching honors as well when we have 2 of them. If left-hand opponent has 9-8, guess what the 9 is not? The 9 is not an honor, right? The 9 is not an honor. So this would never be from 9-8-3. You would never lead the 9. You would just lead low. And that is the way we play. So what I'm trying to say with that is we don't play top of nothing versus suits, because what does top of nothing look like when we lead a high card and follow it with a low card versus a suit? What does that lead look like? It looks like a doubleton. Yes, which is why B is actually true on this one. If we think about this, what are the only cards that we can't see that are higher than the 9? Well, they're the Jack and the Queen. So first off, ask yourself, what would they have done with 2 or 3 of those cards? Queen, Jack 9, Jack 9, Queen 9. Well, they would have led the honor in all those situations, right? Queen 9, 3, they would lead low, right? So we're leading low from 3 card holdings against suits always. Mud is something you can still play, and so 2 people have asked that. So what we used to do with 3 small, and what's very, very few people continue to do, we used to play mud, which is middle up down with 3 small. That just is not as necessary any longer. And that's mainly just because we understand the mechanics of at least suit leads. And I want you to think of the likelihood that you're going to be leading from small cards versus suits. Not very often, unless you're leading partner suits. You're usually going to either be leading shortness or touching honors and things like that. So just recognize that the standard way to play from 3 small is low. So if we think that this is 2 at most, right? We have 3, that's 5. There are 3 in dummy, that's 8. 3, 6, 8. This player has at least 5, right? So if this player has only 1, this player has 6. So that is why the correct 2 truths on this one that are absolutely true, if we trust everything that's going on, are those 2 things. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. We're basing this on correct play by the opponents. Now, the opponents might bamboozle you, whether they're good or bad, because a very good player might know that you're watching and might try to fool you in certain situations. Unlikely in this spot because it's so important that partner knows what's going on as well. But also sometimes just players that don't know what's going on might also not give you the right signals. So you can see how different it is playing as different calibers of players when you're trying to read signals. But in general, we should expect both of these to be absolutely true. Right? Does that make sense, guys? Was that too fast, too slow? Did I confuse anybody with mud? Because mud is old school. It's something I used to play for sure from three small, but the standard methods now low from three small versus suits. And then versus no trump, fourth best and top of nothing, right? And then top of touching honors in both contracts with different requirements. Ooh, Jim, good question. So when partner has bid a suit and you have like honor third, usually you just lead low from that holding anyway, depending on the honor. But I mean, if it's a good honor, it's low from that. With a doubleton, you would lead just the honor and then follow it with another one, right? There are times where it might not be right to lead that, but in general, if you're going to commit to it, that's what you're going to do. Nice, good question. All right, next case. 1 no trump, pass, 3 no trump. Simple auction. I don't know how much we could know about this, but talk to me, folks. Here are the truths or the potential truths. North has 10 or more points. North has no 4-card major. North has no 5-card major. Or North has 8 or 9 points. What are the truths here? I'm watching this slide now, and I can't remember if I actually highlighted the right ones. I hope I did. I think I might have. Ooh, good question. And well met, Betty. Betty picked this out. She says she only sees 14 points, and I was hoping someone actually saw that. This is a classic upgrade to 1 no trump. We would always open a no trump, or the best strategy is to always open a no trump with this hand, because we're actually taking this 14 and just correctly saying that this is worthy of 15 points. So yeah, good catch. Nice. Yeah, Sally, good stuff. And in fact, you deal me this hand 1,000 times and it's getting open to no trump 1,000 times. That's how confident I am that it's right. And it is. It may be wrong situationally for sure. And if you've ever watched the Wednesday morning tournament, you know how that goes. But so when I have a good 14 and a good 5-card suit, I treat it as 15. That's it. I add an extra point for that very good 5-card suit, and I choose to open it 1 no trump. Right? And I'm not worried that it's a major or a minor. I'm much happier when I have the floor of what my values are. All right. So here we go. Those are the truths. North has at least 10 or more points, and North cannot have a 5-card major. How the heck can they have a 4-card major, though? Does that seem to make sense? Why is that not true? And recognize D definitely can't be true because North bid game. Right? Why the heck is B not true? Because you would think if we're going to go to game and we have a 4-card major, what the heck, man? What's Rob doing to me here? I will show you why partner chose to do this. That's why, folks. There it is. Partner is flat. Partner has a totally flat hand, 4, 3, 3, 3. There is no way they're ever supposed to bid Stamen, and that is the rule, folks. Even if you have enough points, which they do, we know they do, they bid a game, they certainly do not have to bid Stamen when they're that shape, because they don't have any things to roughen their hand. There's nothing they're going to be doing over there. Does that make sense, folks? Take a look at this one now. Let me see what yeah, okay, good. So we'll have one more question on this, but take a peek at this auction, and do you see any issues? And in fact, sorry, let's go back. Let me ask the questions first. Yeah, we might have been a little aggressive because we opened our 1 no trump, but also you might be freaking out that we have a nice spade fit. But we're going to play this hand in its entirety, and we're going to talk about why this might be good or bad for us. So first things first. These are the truths or the lies. A, north-south on this hand always will have 5 spade tricks. B, West has exactly 4 hearts. C, we start with only 4 winners. And D, North South will take 2 heart tricks. So, truths, lies, information. What's true? Is any of it true? Is all of it true? I don't think all of it could be true. And I'm going to bring this. I want to keep my. Let's see if I can just pop this in here. I want to keep my answers up there because we're going to play a few tricks on this. So let's see if I can just replace this and then. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay. So the only one that is true, in fact, is A. A is the only truth. And that is because it is the only one we know for sure that we will be able to make true. The reason North South have 5 spade tricks is because if they play it correctly, they can always, always, always handle a bad break in the suit. Right? And what I mean by this is let's take this example. First of all, let's just play this first trick. We're going to play a heart, and it's going to go low like it should. Or excuse me, they'll force out our honor, excuse me, and we'll win our king. And now I will ask a question. If I force you to play spades, which spade should you play? Make your choice. And you can play low to the queen. You can play the ace or king from your hand. Just tell me which one, the ace, king, or the queen. Which card do you want to play first? I know. Oh my God. I love the audience. I can tell when the audience is confident because the answers just fire in. Ace, 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 king, king, king. Either one's fine. The key thing is you play the honor from the side that has 2 of them first, right? So we play the ace because we want to see what happens on this trick. And let's be fair. Are we going to have any issue with this suit usually? No, right? Usually we play any honor, we see they break, and we take our tricks, right? But here we may have a problem, right? So we prepare for it. And here's what I mean. If you play the ace of spades, and in fact, let me play it from this end, and you see that one of your opponents shows out, well, guess what? Now you get to take advantage of this situation by finessing that jack through that queen, right? And that's because you kept the honor there. Okay. If we back up and we play a low spade to that queen and we see this, guess what happens? Disaster, right? Because we cannot take a successful finesse for the spades. So we are all done. And this works. I will draw your attention to the other situation, right? What if it's the opposite problem, right? What if right hand opponent is the one with all of the spades? Well, it doesn't matter to you, right? You play the ace of spades from your hand anyway, and you get the exact opposite information, right? Oh, spades aren't breaking again, but now righty has the jack. So now we transport over to the queen, and then we are back to finessing for that jack, and bingo, bingo. Okay. It is the only scenario that is true on this lead, right? Once the opening lead is the 5 of hearts, West may in fact have exactly 4 hearts, but we can't know that. What lead might we have seen from them that would guarantee they have exactly 4 hearts? Look at all the cards still, though. The 3 of hearts. Yeah, we have the 2 in the dummy, right? So if lefty led the 3 of hearts, we would say, okay, that's exactly 4. They can't have more because that's the lowest heart we can see, and they play 4th best lead. So here, maybe they have exactly 4 hearts, but we have no idea. C is wrong because A is right. In fact, when I count this for winners, I would count 6 winners. Does that make sense, guys? Because you have 5 spades and you can count, take it to the bank when you have the 10 and the 9 here. Take it to the bank. As long as you play the ace first, and Kelly's here, I'll say divorce the pair, right? Divorce the pair of honors. You are always taking 5 spades and the ace of clubs. You'll end up taking a heart but you might end up taking two, Michael. So you won't count this until after you see what happens with the lead. And also, north south will take two heart tricks. I do not think so. Whoop, there's the actual entire hand there. Look at that. And let me get us to the correct scene here. There is the entire deal. In fact, sorry, it looks much better on this screen if I show it to you. I'll blast it out like this. There's that heart, right? So here, when we play low from dummy, we will take two heart tricks every single time that lefty has the ace of hearts. And to be honest, when we see a fourth best lead, we expect it to be there more often than not. But with fine play by them here, we only take one heart trick, right? Because the ace of hearts is in fact wrong for us. So there's nothing we can do. We can't avoid losing more of those tricks. And that's why this might not be the best contract, right? Because they get off to a nice lead and set their tricks up. Right. So yes, yeah, the lead will always give us one more heart trick. But remember, if you look at this hand from the very beginning, we're always entitled to one heart trick. What we really want is two, right? But recognize when I give you this scenario, north south will take two heart tricks. Nah, can't know that, right? Maybe if the ace of hearts is right, but it doesn't tend to be here. Make sense, guys? Talk to me. There's the entire deal once again. All right, this is good stuff. Let's see another. Okay, so this auction started with the East player opening one diamond, and we correctly passed, and it went pass. Our partner bid one heart, and that was in the balancing seat. We bid two no trump, and they bid three no trump. So let's talk about what we know. Truths and lies. A, East has exactly two spades. B, East has the ace of diamonds. C, north south have 8 winners to start. D, West has both spade honors. Thanks, Annette. So what's the truth? What are the lies? And this is always going to test how deep you're thinking. So don't worry if you're getting any of this wrong. The whole point of this is to get you thinking about it, get you starting to think before you just voluntarily or reflexively play a card. This is the most important part of the hand. Sally, that's what a bridge player would think for sure. Close. Which might give you a read on some of the other things. Joni, the answer is so nice. She said it 5 times, but it is correct. I love it. You know you're confident when you put down the answer 5 times and it's the correct answer. Now that is excellent. Yeah, Michael, good stuff. So you have to piece together a lot of the normal stuff we should be thinking about at the beginning, and this is why I'm so happy we're kind of going through this process, because this process will lead you to the correct answers. So let's count the points first, right? When they bid, especially when they make an opening bid or a double, let's give them what they're supposed to have. They're supposed to have 12. Now recognize, again, it could have less in certain spots, but here we'll give them 12. And we will add to that the 13 that we have. That's 25. Dummy has 11. So on a bad day, left-hand opponent has at most 4 points. On a really bad day for East, they open super light. West may have room for 5 points. Let's put it that way. Okay. So that's step 1. Right. West has at most usually 4, maybe in a weird spot where East is open with an 11 count, they might have 5, but that's their maximum. So let's look at A first, and we'll come back to these point totals for B. A is East has exactly 2 spades. Well, let's test that. West has how many spades, folks? This is an extra stepper, right? You've already done this calculation once. Now you have to make it to get to a different spot. Yeah. So with this deuce, we know West has exactly 4 spades. So we should have a perfect number. We have 4, that's 8. The dummy has 2, that's 10. So East, boom, has 3 spades. So A, no chance. All right. In fact, we know that we can actually fill this in. East has exactly 3 spades. We know that. Okay. B, East has the ace of diamonds. That's your only truth of this problem, folks. And this is how we get here. Betty, this is a good question. West has 4 spades because they are leading the 2. And this is a lead that is called a 4th best lead because we're playing in a no trump contract. When we see a low card, we know it's 4th from their longest and strongest. So are there any cards below the 2? Nope. So they have exactly 4. That's how we know it's exactly 4. So which we should also know, West is guaranteed to have at least 1 honor in the spade suit. So what are the 2 cards that West, did I say, if I said East, I mean West. When West leads the 2 of spades, they are guaranteeing an honor in the suit. So what are their 3 potential holdings in spades, guys? One of them is very, very unlikely. 3 holdings are King 4th, Queen 4th, or the super unlikely scenario where East opened with an 11 count and West has King Queen 4th. Very unlikely, which is why D is clearly not right. It's so unlikely that's happening. Right. So if we make sure we understand that West has the king and or the queen of spades, one or the other, can they have the ace of diamonds? No chance. Right. Let's give this hand even the worst. Let's give him 11. We'll count our hands again. We have 13. Dummy has 11. That's 25. So at most 5. If one of those has to be one of those spade honors, the king or the queen, what card can they not have in their hand? They can't have that ace of diamonds. So that's where it is. It's in the East hand. Talk to me, guys. Makes sense? A lot of you got it. Some of you didn't, which is fine. But did you get some of the other ones is the question. You don't have to get everything completely right. I think almost all of you knew that East had 3 spades or East couldn't have 2 spades, right? So yeah, if West has 4 small spades, they wouldn't have let a low spade. They would have let a high spade. Right. So the deuce of spades guarantees that West has an honor. And because we can see the jack, the 10, and the ace, the only honors are left are the king and the queen. Okay. So knowing that they have to have an honor, they cannot have the ace of diamonds. Yep. Does that make sense, Sean? The 2 guarantees they have a good card in spades. If they had bad spades, 4 small, they would lead either top of nothing or second from that bad holding. Right. So here we should know for sure that that is a good one. Yeah, I'll flip you guys an opening leads link to a couple classes that will give you some practice there and give you the tips and tricks that are the best ones. But if you remember this as declarer and defender, very good to know that when you do lead 4th best or when the opponents do, they are guaranteeing length and strength. So definitely an honor and some length, at least 4. Well, Michael, you bring up a great point. It doesn't just take a lot of discipline to do this thinking. It takes time at the beginning. And the way I recommend practicing this is in those robot tournaments or anytime you get to play at your own pace with some sort of AI, just take your time and go through this process. The more you go through it now, the less time it takes in the future, right? You just have to put in the work. And yeah, maybe a calculator and a sheet of paper will help for sure. But yeah, the weekend tournament is a great way to practice it as well. For sure. Okay, let's take a look at another one. All right, so this time, North opens a diamond. Right-hand opponent overcalls a spade. South doubles. North bids 1 no trump, and South raises to 3 no trump. Notice I am not showing you any hands. I want to ask you these questions first. So here are the truths and or lies. A, South has exactly 4 hearts. B, East has 10 plus points. C, North has extra values. Or D, South has spade stoppers. Truths, lies, which ones are which? Yeah, and sometimes it is about just taking out the ones you know can't be true. And some of them may be true as usual, but we have to know they are at this point to classify them as truths. That's right, Sally. That's right, Kelly. Interesting. We'll find out if that's true. Maybe. That's right, Kay. Yep. I definitely was tricky throughout this quiz as usual, but let's look at what we know. That's all we know is true. South has exactly 4 hearts. And here is why. The auction suggests afterwards, right? When North bids 1 no trump, they're showing a minimum 12 to 14. And North is the one that's showing spade stoppers, not South. Right. So North absolutely has to have spade stoppers and is showing a minimum hand 12 to 14. So North doesn't have extra values either. The reason we know South has 4 hearts exactly is their second bid. When we see the initial double, we should understand that that double could certainly be 4 or more hearts, because what would they do with like an 8 count in a 5-card heart suit? They would double, right? However, we know that they don't have a good hand. Excuse me. They don't have 5 hearts because we know they have a good hand. They raised a game. So when they show this 13-point hand with their second bid, we know they would have bid 2 hearts originally if they had 5 hearts and 10 or more points, right? So it's what they didn't do that kind of tells us that they have exactly 4 hearts. And this is bridge bidding, right? This is logic. And this is the way I want you to think. I don't want you to memorize. I want you to think about the logic of the situation. It's a beautiful example of it, right? South cannot have 5 hearts because they would not have doubled originally. They would have freely bid their 5 cards or longer heart suit. So they have to have at most 4 and exactly 4, really. The other one is B. East has 10 plus points, not at the 1 level. They may, in fact, have 13, 14, 15, 17 points. Who knows? But they only have to have a good 8 or more, really, to be overcalling at the 1 level. So there, B is frequently going to be right, but at the 1 level does not have to be. Does that make sense, folks? Yeah, Kelly, exactly. They can have, I mean, most expert pairs play 1 level overcalls is like 7 to 17. I like to teach a good 8 to 17 just so you guys aren't way out there on an insanity land with some really weird hands. But yeah, it should be pretty disciplined, but still does not have to be that 10 or more. 2 level overcalls, I mean, you're expecting an opening hand, right? So it's a huge difference between the levels. Sean, very good question. Aren't there times North accepts 1 no trump without a stopper because they have nothing else to bid? No, there should never be times like that. And the bid that you're going to make that's going to be the lie is either going to be accepting partners major with only 3 or rebidding a 5-card minor, right? So here you're boxed into never bidding no trump without a stopper. Because think about it, sometimes your lefty could just be ripping off the first 6 tricks against your no trump contract, which, hey, maybe you're still able to make it, but that makes things a little more difficult, especially if they have outside winners as well. So yeah, this is a hard and fast rule. When they've overcalled, especially, you're always going to have a stopper to bid a no trump. Now, you might take gambles once in a while, but those are gambles that are real gambles. They don't work out as often as you think. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Kelly, you're right, and I'll just move on from that. That could get into a very long conversation. All right, so let's see another one here. This time we opened 1 diamond. Our left-hand opponent overcalled 2 hearts, which was a jump. Partner doubled. We bid 2 no trump with our stopper there. Right, we'd never do that without a hard stopper again here. And partner raised to 3 no trump. Here are your options. A, West has an opening hand. West has 5 or more hearts. North has 4 plus spades. South's 2-no Trump bid is wrong. What do we know? That's right, Kelly. Sean, have you been watching some of the view graph maybe? Or so there are times I'll get to it when we give the answers. Yeah. But remind me if I don't mention it, Sean. That's good. That's a good point. Experts will sometimes blur the lines a little bit. Good. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think now this is the one I think I might have actually had one green in there when there shouldn't be. Yeah. These are the true statements. West, in fact, has less than 10 points. West has 6 or more hearts. The previous slide, none were correct. None were correct. All are red. This was one I had changed on one slide, but not the other. But yes, nothing was correct here because let's think about what West 2 heart shows. That's a preemptive jump overcall. That's a week 2 bid, basically. So it is always less than 10 points. It is also always 6 or more hearts. So that would be a more true statement about West. North has 4 plus spades. This nipped a lot of you. This was the one that most of you thought was right. It is definitely not correct for the same reason we had the last hand. Picture this. What would North have done with their hand, which we know is an opening hand? They raised a game. What would North have done with 5 spades and 13 points over 2 hearts? What would you do? Just think about that, right? Think of what partner could have done. The beauty of bridge and the moment everyone loves bridge, and I think everyone loves bridge very, very much at the beginning, but the moment you really have a lifelong love affair with it is when you start thinking about partner's logic, right? When you start thinking about declarer's logic, why would they do that? What would I do with such and such, right? This is a great example. What would partner have done with a good hand, 10 or more points and 5 or more spades? They would have bid 2 spades. So the moment we confirm they had a good hand, when they bid 3 no Trump, we know they cannot have 5 spades. So North has exactly 4 spades when they make this double. Does that make sense again? I want you to see it again, not necessarily to memorize it. In fact, don't memorize it. Just think of the logic of the situation. And also recognize that their double forced us to bid. So our 2 no Trump bid didn't show any extra values. And to be honest, I would always bid 2 no Trump with the south hand. 3 diamonds is going a little bit past maybe our best spot. And I want partner to know that I have ace third of hearts. So here it's important when you're the one that does have the stopper, you volunteer the no Trump to make sure a partner knows that it's safe, right? Very important that we have that discussion with partner. Oops, sorry, I went too far. All right, talk to me, folks. Questions, comments? So yeah, okay, thanks. Michael is getting to that and what Sean mentioned earlier. So if you're watching ViewGraph, or if honestly, if you watch me and Jim, we'll get that in 2 minutes. If you're watching me play, I'm not on enough for you guys to even see me play. There are times, in fact, last Thursday at the club, I had a perfect 5-card preempt where I had a very good suit, and I was 5-4-3-1, non-vulnerable in like third position. Yeah, there are times with really good suits you might get in there and preempt, but I would tell you that is something that is usually reserved for the expert levels because you're going to have to play really well if you get stuck in some of those contracts. And the other real problem with that is, what is partner going to base their raises on when you open, when you preempt especially? They're going to base their raise on the fact that you have 6. So they're going to use the law of total tricks. And now you're going to break the law of total tricks for your partner. Again, it might be great for you, but it is very risky, and it can create problems like that. So just be wary of that situation and recognize when we're doing it, we're taking a very calculated risk and based on situational stuff. So again, not for the faint of heart. And also, I've seen it go just as bad as I've seen it go amazingly well. So be careful. All right, guys, let's take about a 4 or 5 minute break. I want to give you guys a chance to go to the facilities, get your brain a little bit warmed up or cooled down, and then oh, sorry, Tuno Trump was not wrong. I love Tuno Trump, which is why I kept it there. Right? I want to make sure my partner knows that we have heart stop. That's why it's so important to bid Tuno Trump. So yeah, the red here is just saying that that is not true. South's Tuno Trump bid is fine, right? So that's what we're trying to say there. That's all. Yeah, you can take your spaghetti sauce off the stove, whatever. We're going to come back and we're going to do signals. I'm going to give you maybe just a little bit of Christmas music to enjoy while we take a short break. And let's see if I can get that running here. All right. You guys hear that? Take a short break and I'll be right back. If anyone wants to throw some questions in while we're taking a short break, feel free, and I will answer those as soon as we start again. Give it about 2 more minutes. Okay, guys. All right, guys. We are back. A couple questions in there. You know what, Jim? I just realized that the Saturday game discussion is not loaded, but it should have been. So I will take a look at that and make sure it gets up there. I apologize for that. That's how clueless I've been the last few days. Thank you very much, Kelly. That's sweet. Thank you. A lot of people like the break. I think we might have to mix this in every once in a while. It sounds like it's a happy little thing we're having here. I figure 2 hours is a long time, so it's nice to have just a little bit of a moment to do whatever you need to do. Okay, so we're going to talk about signals, and we're going to talk about signals first, what they are, and second, we're going to get a little bit of practice with them. Okay, so first thing, let's look at the most common signals that we're going to see, and right now you can see I am playing defense as the South player, and today, Betty, it's a 2-hour class. It's the end of the year, so it's a full 2 hours. You don't have to stay for the whole 2. This will be on replay afterwards, so you can catch whatever you miss afterward. But yeah, we're going for a full 2 today, so buckle up. So this is showing us a lead from partner, and we're defending a 2-heart contract. Right. So my question is, as the South player, after the declare plays a spade from the dummy, what will we be doing with the South hand? First of all, what kind of signal, if any, should we be making? And secondly, what card will you play from this hand? Now, that's the beauty of a class like this. You can take it 10 minutes at a time, 2 hours at a time. The replay is there for you to do at your own schedule. But if you can make it through this 2 hours, you can make it through anything. And remember, we're playing 2 hearts. 2 hearts is the contract. And so some of the most important parts of our bridge game come down to how we communicate to partner. And this is one of those most important spots. When partner leads an honor, we give attitude 100% of the time. Or when partner leads low and dummy plays an honor, we should also be giving attitude. And what that means is the card that you play, the card that you choose to play, will show whether you like a certain suit or whether you do not like a certain suit that's being led. And here the ace of spades is being led. So we are confined to speaking about spades. Make sure you're clear on that. When we're signaling, we're simply talking about the suit that's being led or the suit that we're signaling in. All right. So here, when we play a spade, we're talking about spades and spades alone. Do we like spades? Do we want spades to be returned is a better question. And yeah, let's understand the opening lead as well. We have some questions on that. When partner leads an honor versus a suit contract, what do they have? They have the honor directly behind it, right? Or they're leading high-low. We know it's not high-low because they actually overcalled. So yeah, they're leading the ace from ace-king. We love it. We love it, right? So how do we say we like it? Boom. I like this suit. I play the highest card I can afford to play. And that is telling partner that what you just did was good for us. Does that make sense, guys? All right. We want this to be continued. If we didn't, we would do something else. In fact, let's look at the reverse of this example. What do we do now after dummy plays low on this hand? I've changed it slightly. Make your play. It is pouring rain outside right now. Perfect day for bridge. Look at the entire hand always. You can see that not only is this bad to be returned right now, you prefer something else way more, which is clubs. Right? So you do not like this. What you would be saying by liking it is, hey, partner, keep going because I'm going to over trump that dummy. Here, if partner keeps going, the third spade is going to get trumped and dummy. They're going to start drawing trump and maybe run some diamonds. Who knows what the heck they're going to do, right? But what we want to tell partner is, hey, this time this lead is just not going to be great for us. There's something that's better. I do not like this suit, or at least I don't want you to return this suit right away. See the difference? And this is how we're going to communicate with our cards. In fact, when we're defending, this may in fact be the only or the first time we have communicated to each other throughout the hand, right? Other than those dirty looks we give each other. I'd say here comes the next one. Now the ace of spades is played. And it's a different problem, slightly. Make your play. They're going to play the 4 from dummy. What do you play from the south hand? And remember, this is hand specific. Right? It's so easy to look at a position and say I like it without thinking about the context that surrounds it. And here, the really important context is dummy has higher hearts than you do. So as this south player here, right, you know you can't over rough that heart position over there, right? So this is still not good for you, right? Let's just get that partner to say we don't like it, get that club lead on the table, and then we hopefully can take our tricks elsewhere, right? So again, you're trying to direct the defense, right? You're not necessarily just willy-nilly, I like it, I don't like it, depending on what you have in one suit. Look at the entire hand, right, and decide what's best for your side, because that's the thing on defense. So frequently one of us is going to know what's best, right? Or maybe one of us knows what's best in one suit, the other one knows what's best in the other. So we're trying to just get as much information as we can out there to direct it towards our best positions. Yes, everything we have looked at has been attitude so far, right? Because look at the position we find ourselves in. In all of these situations, we've seen partner lead in honor. So when partner leads in honor and we have, enough cards in the dummy that we can see here, we are always giving an attitude signal. Jim, good question. Is shortening dummies trump of any value? Not, yes, it could be here, especially if we know they need to rough spades. And here, this might be one of those times where when we discourage, our partner gets to the business of drawing trump, right? To avoid declare roughing spades, right? And we need to tell them they need to do that, right? And in fact, the deuce does a really good job of that. If we play the 10, partner's going to say, oh, well, they don't want me to draw trump. They're over roughing that dummy. So you can see the difference, right? Here, as a defender, we either want them to return a club so we can come through a heart, or we just want them to lead a heart, right? We have to tell them we don't like spades to get them to start doing something different, though. Make sense? Great question. How we doing, folks? Good. We're going to look at a different signal now. That was all attitude. This is different. And this, folks, is our partner leading the ace of diamonds versus 4 spades. Okay. So partner is leading the ace of diamonds. Dummy has not played yet, but you can see the dummy is going to have to play this singleton queen of diamonds. The question for you is, what card will you play from your hand? And also, is this still an attitude signal? Is it a time where we want to tell partner we like diamonds or we don't like diamonds? And remember, attitude is all suit specific, right? So if we're giving attitude, we're saying I like or don't like this suit that's being played. That's right, Michael. I'll say that in my best voiceover work. So this time we have to recognize that partner and we don't care how much we like diamonds. Right? Attitude is totally irrelevant because we both can see we don't like diamonds. Diamonds is going to result in dummy just roughing diamonds, which is good for the opponents. Okay. So when we have this situation, we know that a suit being led is not going to be returned. It is suit preference time. And that is exactly what we want to be saying to partner when we know diamonds is not in our future. Which of the other suits do we prefer? And clearly, we prefer hearts to clubs. Okay. So the key thing here is we want to tell partner to lead this suit, but we want to do so in that diamond suit. And the way we do it is we pitch the jack of diamonds, a totally worthless card from our perspective, and a very clear signal that that is a high diamond, which means of the two remaining suits, hearts and clubs, right? We're excluding diamonds because we can see what's happening. And clearly, we're not going to be dealing with the trump suit. We want the higher ranking one. So we play the jack. Okay. And that'll tell partner to lead hearts. And that's how we get our two heart tricks very quickly on this hand. Recognize that this is easily confused with attitude, but the big difference here is that both of us know, and it is clear for both of us, north and south, that diamonds is not going to be returned any longer. All right. So this is one of the clearest examples of that. Attitude isn't necessary. I don't care if my partner loves diamonds or vice versa. We both see that diamonds are just always going to get roughed and dummy. So we're never taking any extra diamond tricks. So we don't need attitude. And another way to look at it is if both of us know we don't need attitude, if both of us are clear on what's going on in a suit, then the signal has to be suit preference. Does that make sense, folks? Talk to me. This can get very, very confusing. I want to make sure we're all there. We both know diamonds is no longer in our future. That is why we use it as suit preference. If diamonds could be a suit in our future, it would be attitude, right? But here, when that is clear for both of us, we give suit preference. All right, let's see one more. All right, so this time, declares drawing trump. That's all I'm going to tell you. What card do you play? And I'll draw your attention to trick one, which happened over here. Partner led the queen of hearts, and you played the two to tell partner you did not like that suit. So when declare leads a trump, this may seem like a silly question. What the heck is Rob doing here? What card would we play? The 9 or the 2? And why? Oh, Sean, I'm going to blow your mind. I love it. You're right, though. You're right about the count signal. When declare leads a suit, you're supposed to give a count, except in the trump suit, right? We never want to help declare in the trump suit. So what might be helpful for our side as an available signal in trump? It's a special one, and it is the best unknown piece of help that you can play and improve your defense with. This is just called trump suit preference. And it's a beautiful free cheddar is what Gavin and I would call it. This is a free position where you get to pass information to partner just because of the cards you hold in the order in which you play them. So it is very clear two things are happening on this particular deal. Number one, we were already able to discourage hearts. So partner knows hearts is out of the mix. It's clear spades is out of the mix, right? Declare has that trump suit. So there are two suits left, and you have a clear preference for one of them, and you're not going to get in the trump suit partner is. This is how we tell them that, right? We play the highest card we can afford to play. And then if they get to see a second round, namely we play the 9 and they get to see us play the deuce, it's even more clear for them. But this will just suggest that, hey, partner, if I have a preference, it's for one of those higher suits. All right. So this is amazing. And it is on the convention card, by the way. If you look on the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the carding. Check trump suit preference, talk about it with your partner, show them this slide, and get on with it. It's amazing, right? It's a great tiny piece of information that you can give partner. Now, I want to make sure we're aware anytime we talk suit preference or really any signal, we're not wasting good cards. So I'm not going to throw a potential winner to accomplish a signal, but I'm going to make the most obvious signal I can afford to make. And here in the trump suit, it's usually worthless trump anyway. So that's the magic situation, right? Free spot. Last but not least, the last signal we're going to talk about is a very good reminder for you because we're going to play a couple hands next. So look at this hand. Declarer has led the queen of diamonds. Partners followed with the 9, and dummy is played low. Make your play. I like what I'm seeing, but I'm going to simplify it for all of us. We should definitely be playing low in any situation. The question is why and which low do we play? The reason we want to play low is we don't want them running diamonds, right? So if we play the ace of diamonds now, they are going to have a diamond in their hand because they have at least two. They open two, no trump, that they're going to be able to lead towards that dummy and they're all good. So we want to stop that from happening. And also, when declare leads a suit, and whether they're doing it from the dummy first or their own hand, the first time they lead a suit, especially in one of their longer suits, we give what's called a count signal. And we do it this way. With an odd number of cards in the suit, we play low and then high, meaning we play a lower card first, and then the next card will be higher. And with an even number of cards in a suit, we play high and then low. That's how we do it. We're not going to be able to say, partner, I have exactly 4 or 5 or 3 or something, but partner also has the dummy and the auction to go on. So usually we can tell partner with pretty reasonable certainty how many exactly we have, or at least, close enough to the ballpark to get the information across to partner of what they would need to do. Okay. So it should make some sense the way the signals are talked about. Okay. When we lead an honor attitude, that's our suit. We want to talk about it and whether we like it or not. When we discard, right, meaning we're out of a suit, we're throwing something away, also attitude, another very important spot. This is the suit we need to lead, partner. This is what I like. This is what we should have. Count should make sense is only when declare is leading the suit, right? And certainly not in the trump suit, right? We're going to use suit preference there. But in any other suit, we're going to give count. And that's just so in situations like this, we might know when or when not to rough. What does partners 9 suggest when they play this? What should they be giving as a signal? Is their choice any different? Yeah, Penny, that's right. And Alexis, yeah, that is a count signal as well. What are the 2 possible holdings that North could have? Not 2 possible. What are the 2 possible lengths that North could have? That's more appropriate. There are a lot of holdings they could have. Yeah, always keep in mind that partner may not be signaling. They may just be playing the only card that they have. So here it's either 1 or it's 2. Right? It's 1 or 2 because we know that lefty West could have 3, but they can't have less than 2. Right? Because they opened 2 no trump. And by the way, they didn't overtake the queen with the king. That would be another one that, hey, maybe they opened with a singleton. Right? So here we know that they have at least 2. So partner has 1 or 2, and we'll find out what happens next. But here, the 2 would be our signal as well. Hey, partner, here's some count for you. All right, so let's take a look at a hand, and we're going to practice this one first. So let's jump over to Shark again here, and I am going to make the lead that was made at the table, which was the deuce of hearts. And we're going to watch what happens here. It's going to go low, 9 ace. And then declare is going to play the queen of diamonds. And here comes the 9 from partner. And we're going to play low like we discussed. And now they're going to play a diamond to the 8 and 10. Make your play, folks. What do you play from the south end? Nice. And I want you to think of the logic again. We hold up until their communication is broken. And what we mean by that is we hold up until one of them's out of diamonds. And this is the moment that we should know that West is out of diamonds. We can do this in 2 ways. We can just count, right? Dummy had 6 to start with. We had 3. That's 9. First trick, we saw 10 and 11. Second trick, 12, 13. That's it. No more diamonds. We can take it. Or we can just recognize partner played high-low. They had 2, which means declare has 2, and so on and so forth. You can count it anyway. No wrong way to count. But here we take our ace of diamonds because we know that the communication is disrupted. And let me show you all the hands first. Take a look. Boom, boom, right? They're not getting to that east hand ever again. Let's look at a different version of this one, though. Changing just a little bit. And now we will have another normal lead of a heart. Oh, no, don't show all the hands. What? Get out of here. Come on now. Okay. Purge that from your memory. All right. Just turn your chair around 3 times and then come back to the no. Don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. All right. Different hand slightly. So recognize I changed the number of diamonds in dummy. And now we're going to do this again. So heart to the 9. Declare wins the king. Here comes the queen of diamonds. Partner plays the 5. Dummy plays the 6. Make your play. All right. Good stuff. So we should note a duck just on just the idea that West has to have at least 2, but also we want to give count, and the correct count is to play low high. So we're going to play the deuce, right? So here comes the deuce, and now they follow with the 4, 8 to the 10. Make your play now, Sean. That's it. That's it. Exactly. This is why we play with a partner. Remember, you're not the only ones. Yeah, true, Sean. I did. Thanks for being ethical. But you can see it. I mean, maybe that's a better way to do it. Show you the whole hand first. Okay. Partner also gives count, guys. So what did partner play the first time diamonds were played? Well, they played the 5. And what are they playing now? They're playing the 8. So they played low high. That's an odd number. What odd numbers could they have? Well, only 3, folks. They have 3 diamonds, which means declare started with 2, which means that is your correct play. The ace, right? We've disrupted their communication. All right, let's look one more time. Let's play a slightly different version of this. First trick was already played. We're going to skip that one. 2 of hearts to the king as usual. Now comes the queen of diamonds, and partner plays the 9, and we follow. I'm going to play the first one for us, giving count correctly again. And now they lead the 8 of diamonds, and it goes low to the 10. Make your play, folks. What do you do now? When I say low high, I don't mean low and then the highest. I mean low and then like the next lowest, right? Lower and then a higher card. That's the way we're going to do it. We're not going to go the extremes for sure. It's a very good distinction to make for sure. People get, yeah. So partner once again gave us the correct count, right? They played the 9 and then they played the 5. So what does that say, folks? That says they have an even number of cards in the suit. We know it can't be 4 because declare would only have 1. This is the second round we're playing. Partner had 2. That means declare has 3, which means we cannot play the ace yet. We have to play low, and now we'll block them the next time they play a diamond, right? So that's what count signals are best played for, right? Especially when declare is trying to run a long suit or set one up. We'll have that idea of what partner has. Remember, key thing to keep in mind, only going to be used when we know that declare has led this suit, right? And to be honest, this is the signal that most people forget to give and or receive is often, most often. However, we never forget to do this during a hand like this. What I mean is when dummy has a really long suit or when we know declare does, give correct count in that suit always and forever, right? Because it's way more important for us if we need to know how long to hold up to know rather than declare knowing. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, Penny, anytime declare leads a suit initially, we're going to give count no matter what the contract is, unless, of course, we're talking about them leading trump. And then we know we're going to be using a suit preference signal in that suit. But very good question. Yeah, you give count whenever declare is leading a suit. Again, though, I can't say, well, when I play professionally, I can tell you that almost all of my partners don't pay attention to count signals except and exclusively in situations like this, but they all know it's important in situations like this. So just recognize that. If you stick to this lane, you'll be okay. I think the most important signals really to get right and to get right as far as position when you're supposed to use them are the 2 we originally talked about, attitude for sure, and then suit preference. Yeah, exactly. You can do this as declare. In fact, the hold up play is way more frequently seen as declare than it is as defender for sure. Yeah, totally. All right, let's look at a full signal hand, which you have seen a portion of already. It's just presented a little differently. And I'm going to ask you what to do with this South player's hand throughout. So first things first, take a look at the auction. Lefty has found themselves in 2 clubs, and you are defending this contract. And here comes the ace of hearts lead. My partner actually overcalled a heart. So Dummy's going to play the 4. Make your play. Yeah, so just ask yourself, okay, how's this defense going to go? And what do I want? Right? And also just make a point of looking at this and recognize Dummy's played the 4 of hearts already. What signal are we supposed to give here? And the correct signal is attitude. Partner is leading the ace of hearts. They're leading in honor, and Dummy is following with the 4. I want to tell partner that this is amazing for us. And they're going to know why, by the way. This is so descriptive because we both can see shortness and hearts in the dummy. So why the heck would I like this suit? Well, because it looks like I have trumps above the 4 and the 3, and I also only have 2. So this is a perfect situation to show a very, very descriptive signal, right? I like hearts, and there has to be a real good reason why I like it. And now partner plays the king, and it goes low, and we complete our signal, right? Partner knows we were saying this. And now our partner leads the 9 of hearts, and Dummy plays the 3, and we get to over rough with that 7. Beautiful stuff. Now make your lead. And if you need to see the last trick, it's on the right over here as always. Right? That was the trick previous. Right, what do you return to partner here? Or, what tricks do you take? Maybe you just start cashing winners. And I'm going to be a stickler for this one because some of you have seen this hand 3 or 4 times. So there is specifically one correct play. Fred's got it. That's right, Kelly. Which one, Penny? All right, so this is one of those weird times, and one of the very, very few times where a lead will actually be a signal as well. And that 9 of hearts that was led from partner, think of their position logically when they led it. What do they know is never being returned from us based on the signals we've given so far? Hearts, right? So what kind of signal do we play when we both know a suit is not going to be returned? What kind of signal do we use? We use a suit preference signal, and partner is full knowledged up about the fact that we are going to rough hearts. So we're never returning hearts. So this 9 of hearts is, hey, this is the suit that you can use to get back to me to do this again. And the 9 of hearts is a relatively high heart. In fact, it's the highest heart really partner can have at this point. So they're saying out of these 2 remaining suits, spades and diamonds, I prefer the higher ranking suit because I played my high heart, the 9. So now comes the question, which spade do we play? And the answer is we play the highest spade. Now, this might be a little bit too far confusing if you're new to signals, but I want to show you the difference. We are leading here. When we're leading, we usually are going to lead low from our good holdings, and we're going to lead high from our bad holdings. The exception is the opening lead, which we might, we're going to lead high from doubletons usually if we're in that spot. But here, what we want to make sure partner knows is that we don't like spades. It should be clear to them that the king and queen of spades are in dummy, but we want that extra rough. So we're just going to tell them, look, if you're thinking about anything in spades, just don't. Right. If we wanted to show some good card in the spade suit or something we liked, we would play the deuce. Right. We'd say, hey, I might want this. But here, just make sure if you're leading a suit, the high cards that you lead show that you do not really like the suit or want it returned. And now you get the beauty of partner returning their heart. Now dummy can do whatever they want. Doesn't matter. And here you get your second rough. Now what, folks? Make your play. You've just taken your 5th trick. What do you do now? Yeah, big lesson, especially when it's the setting trick. But really, when you've ripped off a bunch of winners and you've set up maybe a side suit for them, the spade suit, It's time to plunk down the winner. And here that clearly is just playing the ace of diamonds. Notice if you don't do this, they'll pitch away that queen of diamonds on that nice spade over there, and you're in trouble, right? So here, well done, cashing the ace of diamonds. Take that last winner and beat this one trick. Nice stuff. Very cool. Let's jump back into our notes here. And first of all, let me just stay over here. Any questions on this last one, first of all, and also any questions in general when we're talking about signaling? I want to make sure I don't kind of gloss over anything you guys might still be thinking about. All right, so this is a great hand. We get an attitude signal, right? Initially, the 10 of hearts. And then we get a suit preference signal when they lead the 9 afterwards, knowing we're roughing, right? And then the rest is just easy, right? Communicating with each other gets us the absolute best information at all time. Yeah. So Joni, the good thing is that when you're talking count high, low, and low, high, it's only when declare is leading a suit. And again, it's the signal that you're going to rely on the least. And yeah, I have done a ton of signals classes, and I can link those and in the defense classes as well that I've done. It's great to review, but honestly, the best review is getting a partner and getting in there and playing, right? The problem with AI these days, all of the robots are really amazing compared to where they used to be. Like, you have no idea how massive a step forward even the bridge based robot was. But the defense is just, you can't teach a robot how to play good signaling defense. You need a partner for that. And that's why it's good to kind of pick up a partner and just sweat some hands, even if you're just playing against the two robots, right? You guys play your proper defense, and just practice makes perfect. So do you give count? Oh, Sean, so you bring up a good one. What we do, let's say partner leads to us and we win a trick. So let's say the opening lead is we have ace 7-3 of a suit, right? And we win the ace and we're returning partner suit. Yes, we would give count in that situation. Our return is what would be called present count, right? So we would return the 7. Sorry if that's confusing. Let me show you guys that to avoid confusion. So let's play south. And let's mess this hand up a little bit. Boom and boom. So let's just say that the opponents are playing, I don't know, some sort of no trump contract. Just suspend your disbelief for just a moment here as I mess with these cards. So at this moment, partners led a low diamond, and we can tell they like this suit, or they have something good in this suit. When we win the first trick, right, what we return will tell our partner presently the count that we have in this suit. So high-low would be an even number, which is what we would play in this situation. If, however, I add another card to this hand, right, and I've just now won that ace of diamonds, now when I return the suit, I would give my present count as low-high. I have 3 left, right? I think that's what you were asking, Sean. If not, apologies, but it is a very good piece of information to recognize and know. So I'm glad we did gloss on that a little bit. All right. Let me close this out. Let's get back to our PowerPoint and let's get some more reps. Now, I have 20 more slides after this. So we have 17 minutes to go. Let's get through this slide. And you guys have a ridiculous amount of homework left. I picked out what I thought were the highlights and some of the more important concepts in these extra questions. And you guys can mess around with them whenever you like, and you'll have plenty of time to do so with 20 plus pages of extra questions. So here, first things first, this is your hand. I'd like you to make your opening bid. What call will you make with this one? Yeah, just here to test your sanity. We open 4 card minors over 3 card minors. So you open 1 diamond 100% of the time, no matter what. If I add a club, you still open a diamond, right? So when you're 4-4, you open diamonds. When you're 3-3, you open clubs. Any other time, you open your longest minor, right? That's it. Beautiful. Now, a better question. Partner opens a spade. Make your bid. What do you do after a spade passed to you? Are your brains on fire yet, by the way? You are now 14 minutes into the unknown. In a bridge quiz, 104 minutes, You guys are doing great. Especially if you're bidding to no Trump. 2 diamonds, 2 over 1. I'm happy you did game force, but 2 no Trump is our opening, or sorry, our response here, Jacoby 2 no. When you have a 4 card raise and a game forcing hand, you always bid Jacoby 2 no Trump, regardless of whatever else you have in your hand. You found your 9 card major suit fit, you're dancing. So the first one is 1 diamond, your opening bid. The second one, if partner opens a spade, we bid Jacoby 2 no Trump. The third one, you opened, or sorry, your right hand opponent opened a heart. You made a nice takeout double with this hand. I hope you agree with that. And then it went pass 1 spade by partner, pass back to you. Yeah, I that's why I include Jacoby 2 no Trump frequently, because I know it's a bid that comes up so rarely that you're going to forget it a few times, especially when you're responding with it. You'll never forget it when partner does it, or you're almost never will, because it always shocks you. And so 1 heart on our right, double by us, pass 1 spade, pass back to you. Yeah, if you don't play Jacoby 2 no, get it on that card for sure. It's very important to have a forcing 9 card raise, because then we get to play slam pretty frequently. We get to have a pretty good conversation there. So this last one, number 3, is a pass. Your partner's 1 spade bid shows 0 to 8 points. You forced your partner to bid, and they bid at the lowest available level. So if you don't pass, you are showing that 18 plus point hand, the power double. You have bid too much, right? So recognize when you make your takeout double, partner already knows you have this opening hand. Their minimum responses are 0 to 8. You're done. You've done your job. Good. How about this one? Make your opening bid. I'm so proud of everyone. This is so awesome because it shows how far our groups have come, especially Gavin and myself. And I'm sure if any of you have taken Larry or Michael's stuff as well, they're talking the same stuff for sure. We open a no Trump with this hand these days, folks. That's what we open, always and forever. Almost all of you are opening a no Trump. Let me ask those of you that did open a spade, what will you bid if you open a spade and partner bids the forcing no Trump? Make your call. You see the problem? Right? If you open a spade and partner bids 1 no Trump, you don't really have a good rebid. In fact, you don't have a bid that's going to describe this hand at all, which is why we open this 1 no Trump. We have 16. We do have a 5 card major, right? But 15 to 16, we are always opening 1 no Trump, no matter what. If you have 17, that is the time. And what I mean by that is 17 high card points and a 5 card major. You still treat it as a balanced hand, but you open 1 spade and you rebid 2 no Trump. Okay. That's how you handle a hand that has 17 and a good 5 card major. You upgrade that to 18. Here with only 16, we're clearly going to be bidding 1 no Trump because that's our best opener. Good. Next case. This time, your partner opened 1 diamond. You responded 1 spade and they bid 2 clubs. Make your call with this hand. Right, 10 minutes left, guys. You got this. We're going to get through this slide, which means we have 7 problems to go after this. Stay focused. Don't quit. Push through. 2 hearts is the answer to this one. 4th suit forcing. We know we have game. We may have slam sometimes, but we know we have game. We're not sure where that game is. So don't think of 4th suit forcing as asking. Just recognize that it's game forcing and it's artificial. So we're using this to game force. Usually we're using it with hands like this where we don't know where game is, but recognize it doesn't have to be that. Maybe we think we have slam and diamonds for all our partner knows, right? So 2 hearts is simply 4th suit forcing. We're going to game force. And we're going to get to find out about that spade fit and we'll make our decision next. But the key thing is we'll have time to discuss further because we're creating a game force with this 2 heart bid. One quick reminder, never, ever in competition All right. So if the opponents have bid anything, we don't play fourth suit forcing. All right. Next case. One spade by partner, 3 hearts on our right. And yeah, Kelly, good question. Fourth suit forcing is alertable because it is absolutely artificial, right? So we must alert when we make the fourth suit forcing bid. Partner would do that here. All right, now one spade, 3 hearts to you. Make your call. Ellen in there, very fast with the right bid. Loving it. Sean, good. Kay, good. Make your choice. I know I'm going fast. It's the lightning round, but we're getting in as much as we can. It's been an amazing 2 hours. So what's the strongest raise we can make in a competitive auction where both sides have bid suits? It'll always be the case. The Q bid is. It's never in the trump suit. It's always the Q bid. And recognize this Q bid's kind of a special one because it's not only 10 plus, it's game forcing. It's going to show at least 13 or more points and a spade fit. So 4 hearts is your bid here. Those of you that bid 4 spades, you're likely getting your side to a spot that's good for your side, but you may be way too low, especially if partner has a better hand than just their opener, which when the opponents are preempting, they might. Right. So very crucial here that when they chew up bidding room, we gain a little back by making the best bid, which is our strong raise. If you jumped to 4 spades, you showed less than 10 points. And usually a hand like this that has 5 or more spades, right? So, and if you bid 3 spades, you kind of just were making a normal raise of partner up to about at most invitational, right? So here, important, we show our best hand. The Q bid, I have a game forcing hand because I forced us to game at the 4 level, and I have a fit for spades. Doesn't have to be this good. Could only be 3 cards, but it is enough to play game. It does not imply a heart control at all. And that's because we this is our strongest raise. We're confirming our fit now. If after we bid 4 hearts, partner bids a suit that's not spades, that would in fact be a control bid. All right. So that would be one step further. Yeah, Kelly, we are blocking our opponent's 4 heart bid on our left, but that's not as important here. The more important thing is really showing our values. Because think about it. If partner has like a 17 count with maybe heart shortness, maybe we belong in slam, or diamond shortness. Think about that. Even better, maybe. All right. Let's take a look at these last 6. Here's your hand. 1 heart, double on your right. Make your bid. I love this slide because it has no subject. It's all auctions, so it's good. You're not in a Jim in there immediately with the best answer. And Alexis following. Jim, it looked like you were waiting for this one. 1 heart double. Magic. You're right, Penny. There's a better way to describe what you have than that. That would be a misdescription of your hand, even though it might be a proper destination. And K, same. That might be the best destination, but it conveys a different hand. And what I'm talking about is a 4 heart bid, folks. 4 hearts is probably the contract you're going to make the most often. You're very unlikely to make slam, to be honest, but we don't play results. We play bridge, and 4 hearts, in fact, would be less than 10 points and a whole bunch of hearts. All right. So we have to have a way to show our strength. And this is a 2-step process. The 2 steps are, first step, we show our values, which is what bid. What is the only bid here that shows our values immediately? It's redouble. All right. So redouble is step 1. Step 2 would be what? Raise hearts. Right. It's a 2-step process because we have 3 hearts, right? So if we had a 4-card raise, we have conventional things like Jordan to help us with. But even if we don't have that, we would start with redouble, right? So here, redouble, I have 10 or more points. And then guess what your next bid can be? Then your next bid could be 4 hearts, right? Because now instead of jumping to 4 hearts, you've shown values and then you bid your game. So now you understand that now partner knows, oh, they have enough to play game with their opening hand. So in that rare occurrence where North has the right hand to pursue some higher contract, they can be allowed to do so. But more importantly, we redouble because sometimes we might just be defending their contract, and we want partner to know we have a good hand there as well, right? Very important to be honest with your partner about your values, especially in situations like this. No, Carol, thank you for asking. When it goes one heart double, two clubs actually would show 6 to 9 points and 5 or more clubs. And that's because we don't play 2/1 as game forcing, especially after the opponents have bid anything. When they overcall the two level, like let's say it goes one heart and they bid a spade instead, two clubs would be 10 or more points, right? When it goes one heart double, though, the only bid that is 10 or more points is redouble. And in fact, we want these bids, two clubs, two diamonds, we want those bids to be really bad, right? We want those to show 6 to 9 because that's the hand we're going to have the most often. Double does not guarantee spades either, folks. We don't Q bid spades, right? If we bid spades, we're showing spades, right? I'm glad we're looking at this one because there's some confusion with this auction, which is normal when we deal with doubles, right? Doubles create a lot of confusion, right? So the only Q bids we ever make are when the opponent bids a suit, right? Or when the opponent shows a natural suit that's 5 cards or longer. All right, good. So the double definitely changes our direct bids, clear, right? So think of it this way as well. If you're thinking why two clubs is 6 to 9 or why two diamonds would be, what is the likelihood of you having 10 or more points when it goes opening bid by partner and then an opening bid showing double? How many times are you going to have a 10 or more point hand and need to be able to bid two clubs and show that? Yeah, I wouldn't even say less. I would say very, very, very infrequently. Right? How many times are you going to have a long club suit and 6 to 9 points? More frequently, right? Which is why we do it this way. We want the most flexibility and the most options. All right, sweet. Good conversation. How about this one? One club, one heart on your right. One club, one heart. All right. That's a Q bid, folks. The problem with this hand is we want to bid no trump. We want to play no trump, but we don't have a heart stopper, right? We don't have spades to bid. We can't just bid two clubs because that would be 6 to 9, 6 to a bad 10. Three clubs would be preemptive. So we use our Q bid, two hearts. Hey, partner, I have a good 10 or more points, and I have at least 5 clubs usually. And that's all we're saying to partner. We have an 8-card fit minimum. We have at least 10. What we're hoping we hear from them is 2 no, and then we'll kick that into 3 no, right? But all we can do is describe our hand, and 2 hearts is really the only bid that should make sense. And it should confuse you. It should be confusing because it's not going to come up that frequently. But think of what 3 clubs shows and values. What would 3 clubs show in this auction, guys? When we have a Q bid available, what's 3 clubs? Yeah, 3 clubs is preemptive, right? It's 4 to 7. It's probably 6 or more clubs, to be honest. And it's because that one heart bid is in there, right? When the one heart bid is there, we have a strong raise, which is 2 hearts. And that's how we show our good raise. We would love to be bidding something else. But the fact that we can't bid no trump with our hand, which is the only other option, means we have to start with a good raise. It's because 2 hearts is strong. That's all. Right? And if you need to take a look at this, just take a look at competitive raises or Q bid raises, those couple lessons that are in there. This is that concept, right? When we have a Q bid available, which shows 10 or more points, the 3-level bids become more offensive in nature or defensive in nature. They become preemptive, right? Which is absolutely our standard stuff there. All right, let's take a look at the next one. This time you opened a club. Partner responded a heart and it went double on your right. Make your bid. And preempts can definitely be raises. In fact, there is a slide in there about preemptive bidding that has all the preemptive raises on there as well. That'd be a good reminder. That's it, Penny. Ellen, good catch. Jim and Sean in there as well. I don't know, Kelly, you tell me. There you go. You're right. You're right. Good, good. All right, folks. Hands up or down, but raise your hand if you and your partner play a convention called support doubles. If you are raising your hand, your correct call is redouble. You are definitely supposed to show 3 card heart support. So if you raised your hand and you got it wrong, you are closer to mastery now. So you have to get the support double wrong quite a bit. And if you haven't played it yet, it isn't the worst convention to pop on that card because it is forgettable. And the sooner you have it on the card, the closer you are to mastery of that convention. Guys, it is 5:33. You have done unbelievably well today to get through this class. It's 30 minutes longer than usual, and it's even worse because I know you've had 2-hour live classes in your bridge careers before. This is totally different. You're getting more decisions and using your brain way more frequently in something like this. So I'm happy you guys crushed it today. Great questions, great conversation. And I just want to take an opportunity to wish all of you an absolutely wonderful holiday season. Uh, to you and your families, I hope you just have a safe and very happy holiday and get to enjoy it in a more realistic way this year than we ever were the last couple of years. So, real treat to be able to spend another great year with you guys. And let me just give you a preview of where we ended and how much we have left. So, let's see where's my right window. So if I scroll down here, that's where we left right here. So we have 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that's all homework that I just scrolled past. So good luck with all that. After you get done with this first one, you have just these 3 left over here, and then you'll have a bunch of them coming on the backside. So, and yeah, these are in the front right now, but as soon as I get done with this class, guys, I'm going to take these special slides and just slide them into the back. So just look for them at the end of the notes, and then it might be easier for you guys to print them that way as well. I will be back right after the new year in January. In fact, I'm going to use the rest of this week and next week to just load up January to March on the site, and I'll have all of that up probably within the next couple of weeks. At least January, February will be up, probably by the early part of next week. So be on the lookout for that, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the year. And I'll still see you guys on YouTube, and we are going to still have the weekend game every single weekend. I'm trying to look for something to do with that at the end of this year. I stay tuned, right? But yeah, if the video isn't up there, I apologize. It will be up there shortly. I have no idea why it's not up there, so I'll take a look at that. But thanks a lot, guys. You'll see these loaded. This is 2 hours, so this one might take a little longer to crunch on Zoom, but this will be on your account within a couple hours tonight for sure. Thank you guys so much. Ooh, nice, Kelly. Good score. Thanks a lot, folks. And yeah, it's great class. And I will see you again very, very soon. Have a wonderful holiday. And may all your finesses be winners until I see you next time.